Peace and respect, family. My name is Steve Paul of Steve Paul Creations. I'm an independent comic book artist. And today, I want to give y'all a little bit of some lessons on how to create your own independent comic books. A little bit about me. I started in 2013 with my independent comic books at the Motor City Age of Comic Books in Detroit. A couple of the titles that I produced is Moon, Reflection of the Sun, 1 and 2, and Father, and also Who Stole Hip Hop. I have other projects in the work right now as we speak, because you never stop creating if you're in the creative world. But before we get into the lesson, please take the time to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you could get new content that comes out immediately from Steve Paul Creations. Because it's all about building, and it's all about rising, and it's all about elevating, and that's what we're going to do. Now let's get into the lesson. Comic book creation. Lessons for beginners with Steve Paul. Now, as we get into this, first thing we're going to do is talk about starting from scratch. What does it mean to make a creative book? I call it a creative book because you're creating. You're bringing something to life that you are imagining inside of your mind. And you're developing it, starting first, onto paper in hopes to allow it to grow and be something bigger than life. Just blossom. Who are these creative books for? Well, creative books are first and foremost for yourself. It's like a diary almost. It's an expression of you. So you can put out any type of creative thing that you have in your mind and just make it a visual, because you know you got people out there that see before they read. But it all ties in together because creativity is so open. That's the beauty of being a creator. How will creative books help us in this world that we live in? Well, you know what propaganda is, right? Well, propaganda is a tool to help people see an idea that they wouldn't have been able to see by just reading it. So when you make these creative books, whatever ideas that you have that you want to get across, some wild imagination that you think is cool, that you think is funny, or that you think is, bad, you're painting a picture for them so they can visually see what the agenda is that you're trying to get across. So whether you're trying to make somebody laugh, whether you're trying to make somebody feel sad, where you're trying to make somebody be elevated in their thoughts, it's always good to put a visual representation behind it so they can clearly see what you're trying to convey. So creative books are good for the world because you could put out things to elevate people's minds and their consciousness and bring them into the light out of the dark. So I say the world is always going to be in a better place when you have that creativity behind it. Comic books are blueprints of unlimited amount of ideas. You can do whatever. In the comic book world, you can make a whole team of people that you see fit to be the heroes of the world. You can identify the protagonists, the ones that want to stop your agenda and everything like that, and you decide who's the victor in all these situations. Doing comic books is more than just, cool little, scenes and characters and everything. But producing comic books is a means of being able to travel as far and as wide as you can, and the only thing that's going to limit you is yourself. Now, I will say that in making these comic books, you could team up with others that have the same mindset as you have, which makes the comic book even more better. Comic books are a form of communication. You want to get a point across, but people ain't listening to you? People can't read what you're saying? Draw it in a comic book. Show the visual reality of what you're trying to bring. Show the visual of the idea that you're trying to bring into existence. Show the visual of the idea that you're trying to bring into existence. Some people can't see what you see in your mind, so you have to bring it out. Some people don't know what they want until you give it to them. Before a house is made, they have to draw the blueprints out first. So keep that in mind. Comic books are a platform to explore a whole new world. You could take the viewing audience to a whole nother space in the universe, in the galaxy. You could take them there by making your own comic book. Comic books is a very, very good tool of communication. Comic books are, like I said, blueprints. So then when it grows and gets bigger, you could take it to the film industry, and now you actually have a live action film based off of your comic book. It's an outlet to be creative artistically. So, and that being said, who are you? What role do you play? Who's the writer? Who's the artist? Who's the inker? Who's the editor? Who's the colorist? Now, you could be all of them if you want to. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be great, but it's that much powerful when you have a team and you're able to focus on one or two of the aspects, which allows you to fully expand yourself to the limits with your creativity. So if your strong suit is more so drawing, do the drawing part. Leave that other part up to the writer, the editor. Matter of fact, you need those elements so they could double check your work to make sure that you are going in the right direction. And that's my recommendation. But ask yourself these questions. And then, when you get an answer, move out on it. So what I like to do, I like to start with creating the characters. I like to start with creating the characters first. That's me. Because first and foremost, I'm the artist. But if I have to do all the other parts, which I did, I'll do that until, I'm able to build a team. But my strong suit is the artwork. So I like character design and everything, so I started with the characters and all that. So let's start with the characters. Create your own character. Draw out your characters. Flesh them out. Flesh out the design. And if you're the writer, go ahead and write it out. Be descriptive. So if you do have to give it to an artist so the artist can bring out your reality. Give your artist a little bit of description so they'll be able to try to draw out as much as they can what you have in your mind. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that has it all in your head, and it's your job to get it out there to the people. Your characters can be anything. It could be a fairy, it could be a bully, it could be a good guy on the block, it could be anything, alien, somebody from a whole nother universe. It could be anything, and that's the beauty of creation and everything. But you just gotta develop it, and you just gotta bring it out, and then make sure that it's something that, people can understand. That's the skill part about it, is trying to make sure that everybody understands what they're looking at. However, sometimes we don't even know what we want until it is given to us. So be open-minded and create whatever that's inside of you. Have fun creating what you like and what others enjoy too. I think it's simple. Is it simple? Come on. What's stopping you? These are some of my latest character designs right here. I call them the culture protectors. I'm still developing stories behind the characters and everything. But like I said, my strong suit is more so drawing than writing. So it might take me a little longer to develop the story, but eventually it'll get around to it. Next, we want to write a little short story. It could be about anything. Life experiences, out of this world fantasies, what you observe around your family and friends in your neighborhood. It could be about anything. See, writing and drawing is basically still the same thing, they're just different genres. Writing, you're using literature to describe, your content and everything, while drawing is more of the visual aspect. And combining those two together makes it just even more powerful. So, go either way that you want, depending on your strong suit, but just know that you have no limitations when it comes to creations. Now we get into the storyboard. So after you got your story, you got your characters, then you got the storyboard. Now the storyboard is where you start to map out how the flow of your content is going to go, with the visuals, with the wording and everything like that. So you break it down into panels on a page. You start to flush out your characters in there. You give your characters expressions. Put them little action scenes. That's what you do when it's time to start to break down your storyboards. The storyboards give you a guideline. The storyboards will give you a guideline to make sure that you're staying with the flow of your content. So let's do the storyboards. Sketch out concepts of your characters in your storyboard. Storyboards is to map out your vision, and your goal is to get from A to B of that issue or that book, however long you want it to be. You want to get it there. And you want to have at least 4 pages when you're doing a comic book. At least 4 pages. But the average is around 20 pages, But you could have whatever. That's the beauty of creating too, is that you could create however you want to create your thing, but through the standards of through the standards, if you just want to show, give people samples, we say about 4 pages, 4 to 8 pages. If you want to give people the whole production thing, we could do about 20 pages is about right. 20, 21, somewhere around that ballpark. The printers will let you know if you need that extra page. When I started my independent comic books, I was doing 16 pages. I was just getting the rhythm of things. But now I'm getting to the point to where now I can flush it out and get those 20-some pages. Matter of fact, make sure you go and you Google my comic books so then you could go check them out yourself. See how you can get it. Comic books. But anyway, back to the lessons. Now this is my process on drawing the characters and everything. First I do the sketch, I do a little rough sketch and everything. Then I do the line art. I take that rough sketch and then I do the line art over the rough sketch. And then I do the gray tones or vice versa, gray tones or the flats. Normally I do flats first, but it could go either way. Where you put the simple colors in there with no shades or anything, just select the colors of the character. And then you put the tones in, shade them out and all that. And then the finalization is where you put all the extra highlights, all the extra pizzazz on it, you know, and that's when you get to the final product. Now, if you're drawing pencil and paper and ink, make sure that your ink line art is nice and neat and that you erased all the pencil marks for when it's time to take it to the scanner and process it to get it to the computer so you can put color to it. Even if you color it by hand, I don't know why you would do it, and you know, by hand. That's a lot of work, but you know, to each his own. You still got to take it somewhere to get it printed. So you want to make sure everything's nice and neat and organized so the printers can pick up everything that you put down on paper, and also that the viewing audience will be able to understand what is going on in your content. If you're doing the work digitally, either tablet or you have a computer with a monitor that you could draw on and everything, you pretty much should have a program with a Photoshop or an app, Procreate or something like on an iPad, if Android, you know, they got all different type of programs and apps and everything for the digital world. But when it's time to finalize, make sure that, you know, the line art is clean. Your sketches in the background, those layers are either the eyeball is off or you deleted those layers, and that the colors are in there and everything is clean. Same process as pen and paper, just on a digital platform, which digital platforms kind of give you more of a convenience because everything is done right there on the moment, on the spot. You don't have to lug around all this paper and everything like that. But like I said, that's the beauty of being creative. It's about how you feel. So my point is, when it's time to finalize, is that you make sure all your art pieces are nice, neat, and clean. Let's move on. Now, after you did all the cleanup and everything, let's take your pages and now let's add text to it. Let's add dialogue. Let's add the text bubbles so you can have dialogue in it so the viewing audience can see and read what your characters are doing or whatever your story is. And this will be a good time to have your editor come in and actually do all that part so the artist could lay back and be like, whew, I did my part, it's time for a break. Bring your other partners in and everything, but if you gotta do it yourself, hey, it is what it is, but make sure you go over it and everything. But let's start to add, you know, the text and everything to your pages so we can complete this comic book, this creative book. See, in here I got my line art, I got my flats, I got my tones, and I got the finished product where I got everything and the thought bubbles, and everybody should know what's being said. Put your pages in order, Now we're getting to the publishing. After you got all your pages in order, got all your text in the book, everything is clean, everything's nice and neat and organized, it's all packaged just the way that you like it, and you're ready to give it to the world. Now it's time for publishing. Now it's time to get started by making sure that the people get your work in their hands, so then they can see what was in your mind and what the vision that you have. So there's many ways to do publishing. All you gotta do is Google. There's a lot of platforms out there that cater to this genre, to the comic book world. Just do a little research, a little study and everything, but make sure that you protect your work, your intellectual property. You might want to find ways to copyright your work, trademark your work, and all that. But pretty much when you put things out there on the web, you know, it gives you a timeline and a history of things. But if you want to be extra secure, do a little research on how you can extra secure your intellectual property. Because some people do want to try to run off with it. But kind of hard these days. Anyway, publish it so you can get your product out there and get it in the hands of the people. Well, thank you. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Now, of course, this is just for beginners. This is just the surface of things, just to give y'all a real quick synopsis on comic book creating the independent way, creative books. If y'all want to get in touch with me, or if y'all just want to check out my content and make sure you stay updated on what I've been doing, well, my information is right here. I'm Steve Paul of Steve Paul Creations. Like I said, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell. All that is good stuff to support the movement. Now, also check out all my social medias where I have all my content, from the IG to the Facebook to the YouTube. And if there's anything that you want me to talk about, leave a comment below. I'll read it, I'll go over it, and I'll see about making a video or putting some type of creative content out there for y'all. But until then, just check me out. And in that respect, it is respect and peace and love. And I'm out. Signing off.